Good evening, it's VJ Franz K. Here I am using Electribe EMX, and I'm specifically talking about a global arpeggiator, which this device has, and some other devices like an MPC will also have in the form of note repeat. But I have developed this workflow over 10 years of playing these devices, and hopefully, if I explain what makes it good, perhaps a similar sort of implementation might appear on some other devices. So here we go. I will always hover my right hand over this section of the device, which controls the part common, the modulation, the synth oscillator, the synth filter, and then the effects. So by memorizing the positions of all of the different parameters that I need to use, I can instantly change just about anything about a sound. So we have the snare. I'll bring in the kick drums. Then I have my hand here, my left hand tends to stay around the arpeggiator. So right now I'm flipping through the different wave samples. It's not the greatest example there, but it almost sounds like I'm scratching a turntable by using the pitch control knob here. Or this sort of cutoff effect by using the EG time. Basically, this touch strip goes from playing quarter notes to playing 16th notes up here. But then if I want to do fast rolls, as is now popular with trap music as well as IDM and other forms, I can tap the roll button, or I can motion sequence that roll button to turn on and off at specific times. So that gives me a lot of flexibility. Anyway, it's hard to talk about these things and do them at the same time, but so now I'll pick out my kick drum here. And the great thing is that after I pick the drum, I can go back at any time and change what drum I've used. But turn off all the drums, and then if I want to record them, just hit record here. Using the arpeggiator, if it is in record mode, it will add those notes. Oops. Now notice if I press this like this, I can get off time notes. But if I'm always using the global arpeggiator over here, I am pretty sure they didn't design the device with this in mind, but it ends up being a great way to play. In the middle of a jam session, I can still make a beat without any of the sounds being off beat, just by using that arpeggiator. And the arpeggiator is not tied to any specific, it's not tied to any of these specific voices. it exists as its own thing. It's sort of like it's sending control onto each device. So basically, how I use it is I have this beat that I've made, and I usually start from a very basic template that I make a template which has all of the things that I want to use organized in a obvious way, and then I can build from that in various directions. Like I can change the tempo. This is 100. I often start at 100 just because it's such a nice round number between 80 or something where hip hop or down tempo would be, and then 120 or 130 where electro or EDM might be. So you have a good choice there. So I'll slow it down to 85. It's a bit loud there. I'll go down so it's ready to record notes. In this case, this slider controls the pitch. It controls the pitch along the ARP scale that you have set. That's a nice riff already. So, if I want to motion sequence, I'll just select smooth here, and then I'll turn this knob. And then it remembers and keeps repeating that controller motion. And then I can use the arpeggiator on top of the existing sequence to sort of override the existing sequence. Create a sort of solo type thing. But when I'm not telling that voice to do something else, and the voices on this machine are basically monophonic voices, even though you have there is one special setting on here that will do a chord, but other than that, there are nice voices on this machine. They, it's virtual analog, but it has a nice kind of fat sound to it, especially because it's going through the tubes, the valve force up here. I usually have my valve force set to about 1/4 of the way up there. That seems like enough for most purposes, unless you're trying to get a really sort of dirty sound. So whatever I have recently soloed or unsoloed, becomes the selected track. And the arpeggiator will trigger notes on whatever is the selected track. And that doesn't matter if the track is muted or if it's not muted, it will still play notes on that track. Which, there are some reasons why you would want to do that. you have the standard way that the beat is going here. Turn it up slightly. So if I mute the kick drums, it's sort of like I'm doing a drum solo. I can always hold the shift button. Overdrive or drive knob here is quite useful in getting this sort of noisy sound, which could be popular in harder styles like electro or dubstep. To get distracted by a single sound. I can save the pattern right here, right. A little rusty from not doing this because I've been using Deluge quite a bit. But by dividing my hands left and right, it's really much different than a piano or what that would be. It's the two hands actually doing separate or, completely different functions. But they end up working together pretty well. I've always really liked the selection of knobs and just the way everything on the Electribe EMX is, it's right in front of you. You don't have to go into sub-menus for most of the functions of the machine. So, so-called menu diving, there's almost none of that required. So, it's like what you see is what you get. There is a knob for every major function. And it's divided up in a very logical way. Modulation here, LFO or other modulation, then the average, the part common, you know, the pitch of the part, synth oscillator, do another synth here. Then I can turn this wheel to decide what kind of synth oscillator. And then these are two important parameters. I could do with a few more of these knobs here, but oh well. Because I turned on the record while I did that, that became recorded into the sequence permanently. But it's the wrong pitch, isn't it? So select, then go back in.